Today I'm showing you step by step how to create this stunning strawberry vanilla cake. I'll walk you through my entire cake design and recipe development process for creating my take on the classic strawberry cake as an entremet cake, as well as how I made this elegant cake design. My name is Louise and I'm a self-taught cake artist. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create the most amazing strawberry vanilla cake. This cake combines two of the most classic flavors, strawberry and vanilla, which I think is a perfect combination of something fresh and sweet. This cake also has several textures with something crunchy, fudgy, smooth and airy, combined with a hint of caramel. I also gotta say that this cake design is one of my very favorites that I've been creating this year, so I'm really excited to share it with you. I'm going to show you the process behind developing this cake recipe, my thoughts behind creating the perfect strawberry cake, and how I created the ultimate strawberry and vanilla entremet. To make this cake, I'm also going to show you how to master the following techniques. How to make a moist vanilla cake, a fudgy strawberry ganache, a smooth vanilla pastry cream, a fruity fresh strawberry compote, an airy vanilla mousse, a shiny transparent glaze, a creamy white chocolate whipped ganache, and a beautiful piping pattern. I'm going to show you how to make the following layers: caramel and hazelnut crunch, vanilla cake, strawberry ganache, vanilla pastry cream, fresh strawberry compote, vanilla mousse, transparent glaze, white chocolate whipped ganache, fresh strawberries, and chocolate decoration. I'm also so excited to finally share that I've been working on a new online course that's launching very soon. My new online course, Mastering Entremet Cakes from A to Z at Home, teaches you my proven 5-step entremet formula: cake base, crunch, soft element, mousse and decoration, so you can create elegant entremet cakes from start to finish. The course also covers the science of baking, how to create your own recipes, and how to design your own cakes, giving you everything you need to start creating your own cakes at home. To stay updated for the course launch, you can sign up to my newsletter here. So stay tuned, I really can't wait to share with you very soon. Okay, let's get started. For this strawberry cake, I wanted the main flavors to be strawberry and vanilla, yet I also wanted to add a slight contrast note, which is why I decided to create a crunch layer with a slight bitter taste from hazelnut and a caramelized flavor from caramel chocolate. I make the crunch layer by first caramelizing sugar and adding hazelnuts, let them cool before I chop them into smaller pieces. I then mix the nuts with caramel chocolate, feuilletine, Biscoff cream and salt before spreading the crunch out between two pieces of parchment paper. After the crunch layer has set, I use a pastry ring to cut a circle that fits with the cake. We then put the crunch in a clean pastry ring, and then we can start preparing the next layer. Since this is a strawberry vanilla cake, I of course had to create this cake with a vanilla cake. My considerations was here that I didn't want the vanilla to be too sweet, but I also wanted it to have a super moist texture. After several tests of this cake, as I really wanted to create a cake that had the perfect moist consistency but also a balanced vanilla flavor, I made a vanilla cake where I first start out by mixing all the dry ingredients. Then I'm whisking soft butter and sugar in a bowl before adding eggs and vanilla paste. I then mix in the dry ingredients, and lastly I add buttermilk until just combined. Buttermilk is what balances the sweet flavor, making sure that the cake stays moist and isn't too sweet. We then pour the dough in 2 pastry rings and bake them at 175 degrees for 13 to 17 minutes. After the cakes have cooled, I adjust the height of them to 1.5 centimeters by cutting the top off. I brush the crunch layer with a little melted chocolate and then put the first vanilla cake on top of the crunch layer. We'll save the other vanilla cake for later. To add a fudgy texture to the cake, I decided to make a ganache. Here I made my favorite strawberry ganache, but this time with ruby chocolate, which is a berry flavored chocolate instead of white chocolate, to make the ganache less sweet and also more fruity. I start out by melting the chocolate and pouring it in a bowl. I then heat strawberry puree, heavy cream and a bit of lemon juice almost to a boil before pouring it over the chocolate. Lastly, I hand blend the ganache to get a fully smooth consistency before pouring the ganache over the cake. After the surface has set in the freezer, I place the other vanilla cake on top of the ganache and put the cake back in the freezer. To get the ultimate vanilla taste into this cake, I decided to make a pastry cream. Not the easiest project, I gotta say, as a pastry cream easily gets a seized texture when defrosted, when you cannot whip it after defrosting, which is not possible here as we already have the cream inside the cake. So I experimented with several versions that contain different levels of gelatin and heavy cream to create a pastry cream that still would have a creamy consistency after being defrosted. I make the cream by first whisking egg yolks, cornstarch, sugar and whole milk. Then I heat whole milk, vanilla pods and vanilla seeds almost to a boil, remove the pods before pouring the hot milk over the egg mixture. The mixture then goes back in the pot where I heat it while whisking until it thickens. We'll now mix in butter and soaked gelatin, which will help set the cream inside the entremet cake. Then the cream needs to set and cool to lukewarm before I add heavy cream. The heavy cream and gelatin is what prevents the cream from sieving and giving it a creamy texture even after defrosting. After the cream has set, I whip it again to a creamy consistency before spreading it on top of the cake. Then the cream needs to set in the freezer before we can add the next layer. To add fresh strawberries not only outside of the cake but also inside, I decided to make my favorite fresh strawberry compote. Here the strawberries are kept fresh even after being frozen later on due to pectin and sugar. I make the compote by first cutting fresh strawberry into smaller cubes. We then heat strawberry puree to the boiling point before adding sugar and pectin. The mixture needs to cook until the puree is very thick, almost sticking to the whisker, before taking it off the heat and mixing in the fresh strawberries. I then spread the compote on top of the set pastry cream, level the layer and put the cake back in the freezer where it needs to freeze overnight. To encase the cake, I decided to make a vanilla mousse. For this mousse, I wanted the texture to be light and airy to contrast and complement the other layers inside the cake. I also didn't want the flavor to be too sweet, so I made a vanilla mousse with a moderate amount of white chocolate to balance the flavors. I make the mousse by melting white chocolate, heating heavy cream and vanilla seeds almost to a boil and whisking in soaked gelatin before pouring the mixture over the white chocolate. After it's cooled off, I whip heavy cream to a lightly whipped foam and fold it into the vanilla/white chocolate mixture. We then pour the mousse in a silicone mold and put in the frozen cake with the strawberry compote facing downwards. Then the cake needs to freeze fully overnight. I was inspired by the classic fraisier when making this cake, which is why I wanted to add some kind of piped cream on top of the cake. Yet, instead of a crème mousseline, I decided instead to make a white chocolate whipped ganache, as I, at least for this cake, prefer that texture. I make the ganache by heating heavy cream almost to a boil, adding soaked gelatin before pouring the hot cream over chopped white chocolate. I hand blend to combine, then add cold heavy cream and blend again. Then the cream needs to set overnight. To decorate the cake, I wanted to add that extra shine without covering the mousse, as I wanted the beautiful vanilla seeds in the mousse to be visible. That's why I decided to make a transparent glaze instead of a mirror glaze. Here, I heat sugar, water and glucose syrup in a saucepan to 105 degrees. I then take the pan off the heat, whip in soaked gelatin and add strained lemon juice before straining the glaze in a tall jug. I cover the glaze with cling film and then it needs to cool to 35 degrees. Once the glaze is ready, I pour it over the frozen cake. I move the glazed cake to a cake plate and then we are ready to add the final decoration. Now that the ganache is set, I whip it to a creamy consistency, put it in a piping bag with a Saint Honoré tip and pipe the cream on top of the cake in a pattern that resembles the one you see on many modern fraisier cakes, as I wanted the cake to have a visual reference to this. Since we're making a strawberry vanilla cake, and we already have white elements from the vanilla mousse and also the whipped ganache, I wanted to make a strong visual reference to strawberries by adding chocolate decorations with ribbons and rings in a fully red color. I first placed the 2 white chocolate ribbons around the cake and then the smallest ribbon around the whipped ganache. I then place fresh strawberries inside the ganache on top of the cake, and lastly I add the chocolate rings to elevate the cake look. And here we have the final strawberry vanilla cake that I'm honestly so happy with. It's really one of my very favorite cake looks that I've made this year, as I just love how the colors contrast each other and how the whipped ganache really adds that final touch. Strawberry and vanilla is one of my very favorite combinations, as it just reminds me of summer, because I love eating cream with vanilla and strawberries together, and this is exactly what I put into this cake. We have several layers with vanilla, several with strawberry, really balancing the sweetness of vanilla with the freshness of strawberry, and also adding new texture with the crunch, some fudgy, and also a hint of caramel. So all in all, this is the perfect strawberry entremet cake. I hope you get the chance to make this delicious strawberry cake at home, and if you like my videos, make sure to subscribe. You can also check out my entremet cake playlist here. See you in the next video.